Hey guys, I'm Meredith Holly. I'm a lawyer and certified life coach and best-selling author, and I want to do a Workplace Wednesday video to help you create a healthy workplace culture where you work. I want to talk today about a topic that kind of keeps coming up with some clients of mine, and I feel like it's pretty foundational to creating a healthy workplace, but also creating the environment you want for yourself and being a self advocate, which is what I teach my clients when they're going through my Power Dynamics Master certification. So this issue is, what do you do when someone else criticizes you? So quite often my clients will come to me and say something really self-critical about themselves that they would never say about another person. They say something like, I'm a bitch. I'm a terrible person. What if I'm doing all of this wrong? Maybe I caused all of this. Every decision I made in my life was bad. I created, it just goes on and on. And I asked them if they saw, a little girl, like a 10-year-old girl, and her mom was saying that stuff to her, what would they do? And they immediately say, I would intervene. I would be so angry. I would never let someone say that. They would never say it to a friend. They don't even really believe it about themselves, but they have a narrative that runs in their heads over and over and over again. Hey, Betsy. And so one of the things that they say to me is, well, I don't really believe it, but people say it to me. And so maybe it's true. What if I just ignore everything that people say to me? Then I'll be totally unreasonable. And there's a reason people are saying this, and they get really into a binary thinking of like either what somebody's saying to them is true or it's a total lie and the opposite is true. And then they go back and forth. So like the example that I'm just thinking of now is, I'm a bitch. So somebody says to this woman, I'm a bitch. And she thinks either I'm a bitch or I'm the kindest, most compassionate, loving, wise person in the entire world. And because the positive opposite doesn't seem true, she goes to the negative. And she justifies it by saying someone else said it, so it must be true. And so this feels not only terrible to sort of like believe and incorporate this really cruel descriptions of ourselves into the way we think, but also fighting with it feels terrible, right? It feels terrible to be like, no, it's not true. Maybe it's true. No, it's not true. Maybe it's true. And to get into this negotiation and argument feels awful. And so I want to sort of share with you what I teach my clients about how to deal with this, and hear anything from you about questions that you have about it. But the first thing that I teach my clients is, and this is the way that I deal with it myself, if there is a criticism, I can always find some truth in it. And see how the other person would think that. But that doesn't mean that I hang on to that description, right? So if someone says I'm a bitch, which has happened before, I think, oh, I was kind of harsh in that moment, and maybe in the future, I want to not be harsh. And then not walk forward in the day being like, my identity is this person has defined who I am, right? So it's like that analogy that I think coaches always give of, if you are walking down the street and somebody who's mentally ill and homeless comes up to you and says you have ugly purple hair, you can see the truth in what they're saying in their own experience. They have this mental illness, they're under a lot of distress, they're living in their own reality. You can understand why that's true for them, but it doesn't mean that you believe it and you take it onto yourself, unless maybe you have purple hair, but most of us don't. I did at one time and it was very beautiful, so I wouldn't have taken it on then. So we talk about that example all the time. So you can acknowledge the validity of the other person's experience without identifying that as who you are, which is a different thing. So ask if you can understand the truth of what they're saying without having it and separate that from the judgment about who you are. Is what they're saying relevant is the next question. So do you agree with them on any level? Just ask yourself that question. Is what they're saying relevant to something for you? Does it have a relevance? Does it have a lesson for you? What kind of gift are they giving to you in this criticism? And like, how is it relevant to the circumstance that you're trying to accomplish, like the goal that you're trying to accomplish, the outcome that you're trying to get? And then what do you make the criticism mean about you? So often what is happening is someone is saying something like, oh, I think this letter had a typo. And we are hearing a description like you're a terrible person. We're making it mean that when really the external circumstance is not that. But because we have our own narrative about who we are and it's negative about ourselves, we'll interpret what we're hearing as a criticism as something deeply meaningful about ourselves when it's really not. It has nothing to do with who we are as a person, but we let it become a really strong self story. So what do you make it mean? And then the last thing that I kind of touched on before is, how is this relevant to the outcome and the goal that you have for your life, the vision that you have for your life? And a lot of times what I see with my clients is that they don't have a clear vision and a clear outcome for their life. They're not willing to choose an outcome and a vision and a goal. And so they get very like waylaid by these super cruel criticisms of them, right? And so to me, it's like, if you have a goal, it's like if I am driving to San Francisco, right? Like I know how to get on I-5 and drive to San Francisco. And then if somebody has a sign on the side of the road that says, stop here and get beaten up by my criticisms of you, I know that I'm going down a side road that is away from my goal, right? Like the stop here sign doesn't sound as interesting because I know where I'm going. I know whether that sign is contributing to the success of my goal. So just in choosing a goal, you can kind of let go of a lot of those extraneous criticisms that are side roads and side paths that have nothing to do with what you're meant to create with your life. So choose an outcome that you want. Choose a vision for your goal. And then the other criticisms, it's easier to let them go. It's easier to see when they're irrelevant or when they're giving you good information towards getting to that goal. So that's my little note for today. I just wanted to share because I was thinking about a couple of my sweet clients who have been a little bit distracted from their goals or from setting their goals by some external criticisms and some internal criticisms. So I love you guys. I hope you're all good. If you have any questions about this, post them. If you want to post me your goal, that is your homework. Let me know what your goal is. I always love to hear what people are creating. Thank you.